Hey, good morning. This is Tim Squires, and I thought I'd shoot a little video, kind of a personal one for me. Yeah, just to let you know, I'm a real human being, and real human being stuff happens. If you've been following any of my posts, you know that uh, we've experienced the passing of a little fussy friend, um, Littlefoot, which was a Pekingese poodle. We called her a peekapoo. She was about 20 years old, maybe a little older. I think she was older, but the kids say she is 20. So I want to tell you a little story about how the dogs came to us. Little stories about the dogs. We've had three, and the first one came. Littlefoot was the first one that came to us, and it was probably about, kids were about 8 to 10. They weren't really big. And I remember we were at church, and my son come running through the church with this little shoebox, and inside the shoebox was Littlefoot. Didn't look much more than a tribble. She was a little fuzzy thing. They assured me it was a dog. He was little, my son. I remember he so proud of that thing. But so we brought it home, and Littlefoot, she kind of got attached to Bambi, my wife. That's how dogs are. The one that feeds them, right? Anyway, it seemed like a couple of years later, another dog shows up. I don't know, maybe a couple of years. It didn't seem like real long. From this point of view, it didn't seem like long. Scruffy. Scruffy was a miniature schnauzer. Now, schnauzers, you know what they do with them. They cut the ears and they bob the tail. And so this one was not bobbed or cut. She was, the way I like to word it was that Scruffy was unmutilated. If you've ever seen a schnauzer that has not had their tail cut or their ears cut, their ears are kind of floppy and it's cute. It's really, really cute. And the tail looks like stands up straight like a flag. And the only time she ever put her tail down was when she was scared of something. So she had her tail up a lot. And so their personalities are totally different. Littlefoot was kind of laid back. Scruffy was always excited. She's listening for things. If we used to tease her and say that if a leaf fell in the backyard, she'd be barking at it. And then the other dog, the rest of them would start barking if she did. Well, the kids got a little bit older, and my daughter got married, and she got a little teacup chihuahua. And that teacup chihuahua's name was Chicklet. They called her Chicklet. And Chicklet would come over to visit every so often whenever my daughter and her husband would go on vacation. They just needed some time or whatever. We would be babysitting the dog, and Chicklet got along good with Scruffy and Littlefoot. So we would have a peekapoo, a schnauzer, a miniature schnauzer, and a chihuahua. I used to, my joke was it was a 3-dog night. So we had 3-dog nights. My daughter had a little baby, and my grandson got a little, came along, and one day I come home from work, and there's Chicklet in the house, and I was like, well, are they on vacation again? And my wife was like, no, this time she's here to stay. They thought that Chicklet was, uh, they thought she was jealous of the baby because she would run around and pee anywhere. But I think, this is just my opinion, I think they had her in a crate and would let her out every so often, and she peed because she had to go. She couldn't hold it. And I think that they got so more involved with the baby, they forgot about the dog, and the dog just had to do what the dog has to do. I remember they would tell us, oh, this Chihuahua, she runs and tears up the place. She's always so excited. Well, she ran and tore up the place because she didn't have any, they would leave her in a crate or leave her in a bathroom, and she was cooped up. We would bring her to a house and let her run with our dogs, and she was fine. Once she got all the running out, she'd settle down and she'd be peaceful. Now, I told you a little bit about Littlefoot. Littlefoot was the laid back one. Scruffy was the one that wanted to chase the leaves in the backyard. But Chiclet, she's very affectionate. Now, people will tell you that Chihuahuas are um, aggressive and bark a lot. But I think that's probably more the males from what I've seen. Little females seem like they're really affectionate and sweet, and that's the way Chiclet was. Now, with my daughter gone from the house, Littlefoot kind of latched on to Bambi, my wife. Scruffy latched on to Philip, my son, and that left Chiclet to latch on to me. So she would follow me around when I was at home, when I was at work, and she'd sit on the couch next to me, and we'd just have a good time. And at night, Scruffy would go off and stay with Philip. He'd take care of her. Uh, Bambi, the Littlefoot, would stay on the bed and sleep with us, and Chiclet would want to get under the covers. She was the teacup Chihuahua. She's very short-haired, and she was very chilly all the time. So she would get, and then we thought at first because she wanted to crawl under the covers between my wife and I, so we thought maybe she might be a little jealous of our relationship. But later in life, I don't think so. I think maybe she was cold and it was the warmest place in the bed. She had warmth from both sides and she was happy. You had to be careful at night and watch where you roll over, because you could roll over on her easily. The downside of all that is that when you have a little puppy dog in the bed with you and they decide they're going to stretch it like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and those little nails will stick you right in the back and you jump about 2 feet in the air. That happened. So anyway, my daughter came back home and for a little while, and she got back with Chiclet. They were just old friends again. And then after a couple of years, my daughter Drusha, she got on her feet again and got her own apartment. Well, before I tell you that, I'll just let you know that we discovered something about Chihuahuas. You may not know this, but Chihuahuas they say they're empathetic. It's like if you're happy, the dog is happy. If you're sad, the dog is sad. When my daughter was going through her pregnancy, it just seemed like Chiclet was acting like she was going through it too. Well, one day I was at work and I slipped on some ice and I hurt my left arm, and I had to have it I didn't break it or anything. I bruised it really good, and it bruised, and I had to have it in a brace. And I noticed that when I'd come home from work, that Chiclet would be limping on a foot, one of her feet, and I asked everybody in the house, "What's wrong with the dog? Why is she limping?" I said, "We don't know." And until I took my brace off, she limped, and then when my brace was off, she was fine. So we think she's very empathetic. She just, when you hurt, she hurts. They say that's the way that Chihuahuas are. Well, my daughter had gotten on her feet, and she got an apartment. And we got to the point where we had to move out of our house. We've been there for about 11 years, and it was our home. And we were going through, it was a trying time. But I don't think Chiclet understood. And she started getting sick. She may have been sick for other reasons, I don't know. But we just noticed that she wasn't handling the tradition of my daughter moving out and us packing things up. And the day that we moved, Chiclet passed away. It was such a sad day. We had to bury her on the day that we moved, and that was pretty sad. So we had to move into an apartment. We were back down to 2 dogs, Littlefoot and Scruffy, which they seem to be happy to be the 2 again. And Scruffy, she made it for a couple of years. I think for about 2 years she lived in an apartment with us, and then when she started eating less and moving less, and we were really concerned. But by this time she was probably about 15 years old, and for a schnauzer, that's pretty good. But she just grew old, got gray. She was already gray and fuzzy, but she got gray, and she passed away. And that was a couple of years ago. Littlefoot, she just hung in there, and she was probably about 20 this past week when she passed away. She was at least 20, I think, maybe a little bit more, but the kids say 20. But she was she had gotten to be blind and deaf, and which was a challenge in the house because she would try to find her way around and bang into all the walls. In the last week, she was looking for a place. We knew she was looking for a place to pass away because I don't know if you know this about dogs, but sometimes when they know the end of their life is near, they try to find a place uh, to end, just to sit and end it. And so she started getting stuck behind the refrigerator, behind the bathroom door, and stuff like that. We had to get her out. The poor baby. And then finally, we went through Father's Day. We knew she wasn't moving or eating or anything. And then the day after Father's Day is when she finally passed away. So that's my story of the three dogs, Littlefoot, Scruffy, and Chicklet, who we got, and they passed in reverse order. But it's one thing about dogs. They're just like kids. They all have totally different. I mean, if you have more than one kid, we have a son and a daughter, and their personalities are totally different. And this is the same way it is with dogs. They have personalities, but they're just so totally different. But we're probably not going to get another dog. We decided that if we got another pet, it would probably be a stuffed animal. Something that we could set in a corner. And if we want to pay attention to it, there it would be, you know what I'm saying? But I just thought I'd let you into a little part of my life, the life of my family, and in our little experience with puppy dogs. And if you have a fuzzy furry friend, and it passes away, we totally understand. Totally. They become part of your life. They're like children. It's very hard to see them go. You more than likely will outlive them. So, but I'm not saying don't have one, but I'm just telling you that if you have a puppy dog or a kitty cat, they will become part of you, and that's the way it is. So anyway, just thought I'd let you into a little part of my life. You guys have an awesome day, and just enjoy the rest of the summer. Talk to you later.